Hello my friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is me, and my channel I do a variety of motherhood, parenting, pregnancy, anything lifestyle related videos in this channel. Make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you won't miss out any future content. In today's video, I want to share with you my first trimester pregnancy symptoms week by week. So you may be able to see right here, I took detailed notes of every single week of my pregnancy, and also I'll let you know like how big the size is of the baby every single week. It's super interesting. So I just want to say that everyone is different during pregnancy, even though there are a lot of common signs, common symptoms. So just in case you don't experience the same thing, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your pregnancy. Check with your doctor. Let's start from week 3. So week 3 is basically in the 2-week wait. I actually made a video of the 2-week wait symptoms day by day. If you're interested, I'll link it down below, and also just check out my other videos in this channel. So in the 3rd week, I started having symptoms after the implantation. I can almost pinpoint which day the baby implanted. It was really early on. So in week 3, I had swollen fingers. I was feeling hot. I had an increase of body temperature. I went to the bathroom a lot, and I felt sleepy and tired more than usual. And towards the end of the week 3, I started having vivid dreams. I also had like some sore breast. So these are all the symptoms that I had after the implantation. And some people may not have symptoms like right then, and some people they have implantations a little bit late. Some people have implantation a little bit early. As the embryo implant in the uterus, then the hormones start to release, the increase in my body, I started to feel these symptoms. And towards the end of week 3 and the beginning of week 4, I actually had a positive pregnancy test. So on week 4, I actually felt like very similar. My pregnancy symptoms are very similar to week 3. It's just more obvious, more potent. Like I felt more tired. I felt my breasts were more sore. I felt like my vivid dreams were like every single day. I had to go to the bathroom every 45 minutes, and I was feeling hotter and hotter and hotter at night. It was harder for me to fall asleep sometimes because I was feeling really hot, but then I was so tired, so I would take a nap during the day. My legs were a little bit swollen, my face a little bit puffy, my hands, like my fingers, were swollen immediately because of the hormones. I also started to have bloating. I had higher heart rate because I use a Fitbit, and it detects my resting heart rate every single day. So in week 4, I started to have like a elevated resting heart rate, which is very unlike me. Normally my resting heart rate is between 55 to 60, but then it became like 70. So my resting heart rate increased by 10 to 15 beats per minute, which is a lot. So I had a little bit bloating with my belly. I started to feel a little bit crampy in my uterus. It was not like cramp like during the period. It feels like it's on and off. I could feel like my uterus was there. Like I could feel exactly where my uterus is. I could feel it, but not like pain. There was no pain. It was just a little bit crampy. So I had to change my fitness routine in a sense that like there's certain positions I put into, I don't feel well, especially like when I go on upper facing dog, I can feel a pull in my uterus. When I go on like a stationary bike, when I took cycle class, I couldn't hinge from my waist because I felt like my uterus was feeling harder and more crampy. So that's my week 4 of pregnancy, and my baby is as big as a poppy seed. That is so little. That is just so little. In week 5, I started to have acnes. I think it's the surge of the hormones that make me like break out more, and I started to have like nasal congestions. Like I always have allergies. I have allergies all year long, but like during that time, it was September. Usually I don't have like really bad allergies, but I started to have like nasal congestions. So I was like, that's interesting because normally I don't have that during that time of the year. So that is also because of the increase of bodily fluid, I believe. So I could not do back bend at all at the week 5 of pregnancy, even though like my baby was small, but I just feel like my uterus started to stretch because your uterus will grow before your baby grows big. It will make room for the baby. So in week 5, my baby is as big as an apple seed. It's definitely bigger than the poppy seed. So my previous symptoms, they still sustained, including feeling hot, feeling bloated, feeling swollen fingers and face, had to pee a lot. I will wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. I felt sleepy and tired. I still have vivid dreams, and my boobs are getting more and more sore. But starting the week 5, my acne are starting to flare up. I think it's because my hormones are really, really high. I will not contract my abs. I will not do any lower ab workout. I would not like do forward fold or like even certain position. I had to readjust my bike. When I do cycle classes, I no longer do any back bend in my yoga routine. So week 6, I have fatigue, bloating, mood swings. So my mood swings really started from week 6, because before that I felt like maybe it's because I was so happy that I had a positive pregnancy test. I was just happy. I was like in an all-time high. But as the hormones are kicking in, my mood were just like going crazy. So one minute I will be like super happy, the next minute I'll be like a little blue, and the next minute I'll feel like very worried. I did have a miscarriage before my successful pregnancy, but I really don't think it was because of the miscarriage. I really think it was because of the hormones, because it's like unexplained. Suddenly I just feel like a little anxious. I just feel like really down and blue, but then the next day I'll be like really, really high. Like mood swings were crazy. In week 6 I started to feel like I was so hungry. So before week 6 I didn't feel like that, but starting at week 6 I feel like I was starving, and I felt like I was dizzy all the time. I try to be more hydrated. I try to drink electrolytes more. I drink coconut water. I drink body armor, the no sugar added version. But starting week 6, I just when all the pregnancy symptoms start to kick in a lot: fatigue, bloating, mood swings, starving, feeling hungry, feeling dizzy. My blood pressure start to drop. So I always have a low blood pressure even until like when I was delivering. My blood pressure was really low, but in week 6 my blood pressure was like super low, to the point that I was in bed like all of the time. And literally I was like, how could anyone work during like work full-time during like first trimester, right? But then at the same time I was like, okay, not everyone has blood pressure issues. On some days I literally had to put myself in bed rest, not because of other pregnancy symptoms, but because I was so dizzy and so lightheaded, to the point that I felt like I was gonna pass out. So I had to lay flat on the bed or lay flat on the couch, drink a lot of electrolytes and eat extra salt to increase my blood pressure. And I bought a blood pressure measurement thing, a device. I used to have super low blood pressure, 80/40, but it hasn't been like that for years, and suddenly my blood pressure was dropping to like 85/50, which is pretty low. So low blood pressure was another thing, feeling dizzy in week 6. So in the week of 6, the baby is as big as a sweet pea. That's so cute. So cute. It came from one cell all the way to a sweet pea. Week 7 is the first time that I felt nausea during my pregnancy. Before week 7 I was okay, it's just other symptoms were bad, but week 7 was the time I started feeling nauseous, especially when I was hungry. They call it morning sickness, but you feel it all day. It's not just to the morning. I think the reason why they call it morning sickness is because when you're hungry, when you have empty stomach, you may feel even more nauseous. But I feel nausea, especially in the morning, because when I'm hungry, I feel nausea. So that's when I started to have an even bigger appetite. Like I'm always eating, because the moment I feel hungry, I want to throw up. So I had bigger appetites, even bigger in week 7 than week 6. So week 6 is the first time that I had like starving, eating more, but week 7 it was like, oh my gosh, if I'm feeling a slight hungry, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I started to have food cravings in week 7. I was craving a lot of carbs, a lot of noodles, like noodle soup, like something spicy, but spicy things will give me a little bit heartburn. So I was trying not to eat too spicy of food. I also started to have food aversions around week 7. I remember specifically I had food aversions against any shellfish, any seafood. It was like a no. I used to love shrimp and lobsters and stuff, and I literally bought like a seafood gumbo thing, and I just remember I was heating up in a pot, and then I was eating it, and the next day I was trying to reheat it. I was loving it right towards the end of week 6, but then the next day on Monday when I heated up, I was like, I wanted to throw up so much, to the point that I bought some shrimp wontons from Costco, and my husband was trying to heat it up to eat it. I was like, no, you go outside, eat it in the balcony, because I cannot smell it. So my husband literally had to eat the shrimp wontons outside, and that's like something I bought because I loved it. I used to love it. So week 7 is when I have nausea, especially when I'm hungry. I had a huge appetite. I had a lot of cravings over carbs. I was not eating anything sweet, but I was craving for like noodles, like carb noodles, and I was having food aversions against anything seafood. I was having food aversions against coffee. I no longer drink coffee from week 7. I was drinking decaf before week 7, but the smell of coffee, the taste of it becomes sour. Like for some reason, coffee tastes very sour to me. I started feeling even more fatigue. I have even more mood swings. I was feeling blue a lot. So I actually didn't have any postpartum depression, but I was having a lot of like mood swings and feeling down, like feeling a little bit depressed during my pregnancy. But every time I was feeling blue, I just go outside to take a walk, to get some sunlight, to see, like, get some fresh air, see the trees and stuff. It makes me happy. So week 7 was a tough week because all of the real pregnancy symptoms kick in. It was so bad. And then the week 7, the baby is as big as a blueberry. Week number 8, my nausea was even worse. In week number 8, I was feeling nauseous. I was feeling hungry. I started gaining weight. A lot of people I know, they did not gain weight in their first trimester. They even lost some weight. But personally, I was feeling so hungry starting week 6 and 7 and 8. And I just started to gain a lot of weight. I felt hungry all the time. I had sore breasts even more. I felt like my boobs were developing in preparation for breastfeeding. And I was feeling fatigued. My vivid dreams were even worse. And I had a significant amount of bloating. Every time I eat something, my belly would just go really big. I was like, okay, I'm pregnant, look, I have a belly. And they were like, no, it's because you're bloated. So I usually don't have bloating in normal day-to-day life. It's just during my pregnancy, I had a lot of bloating. It is when I first saw my baby at ultrasound. I was so happy, like seeing everything looks normal in ultrasound. The chance of miscarriage is significantly lower. It's like less than 5%, I believe. And that just makes me so much happier because like I had a miscarriage before my successful pregnancy, and the fact that I carried a baby to 8 weeks and I had a good ultrasound result, it's really, really good. And also, if you didn't know, my previous miscarriage happened in week 7 and 1 day, so I already went past that mark, which makes me happy. So in week 8, your baby is as big as a raspberry. Number 9, I felt even more fatigue, and I started to have lower back pain. I don't know if the lower back pain is due to the hormones or the increase in sizes of my uterus pressing into my lower back, or a combination of all. Maybe it's because like my uterus was growing. But anyhow, like in week 9, I had started to have really, really bad lower back pain. And lower back pain was one of the key things that I experienced throughout my entire pregnancy, but most people didn't experience that until 3rd or 2nd trimester. But I just had really bad lower back pain. Every time I sit down for a while, I have lower back pain. Every time I walk for a while, I have lower back pain. It's like nothing entertains me. So in week 9, not only I felt nausea, fatigue, lower back pain, I had swollen fingers, I had bloating. I think ever since I was pregnant, fingers and feet were very swollen starting from early on. Like I think some people only experience it at the end, but I had like swollen face. I have like swollen fingers. Like the moment I walked in like a restaurant that I always go, like the owner was like, "You're pregnant. I can tell from your face because your face suddenly got swollen." So at week number 9, your baby is as big as a cherry. Week number 10. So week number 10 is when I had way more sore boobs, significant increase in my cup sizes in week number 10. It was the first time I felt like, oh my gosh, like I actually had boobs. So my cup size used to be B, and in week number 10 it already increased to C. And I went to get new bras, and then the person said like, you're actually C.5, you're almost getting to D level. And since I was pregnant, so I just bought the D size instead, is C. So in week number 10, I also had an increase in my pants sizes because first of all, I was gaining weight. Like by the time it's week 10, I already gained like about 5 pounds. But 5 pounds is actually not that much. It's really like my waistline. I can feel like, because in the past my belly was so flat, but in week 10, I think in addition to like the bloating, I also felt like I can feel my uterus is growing, and I can feel like it started to develop like amniotic fluid and stuff like that. Like I could feel like there was like a little like hardcore bump in there. So I had to increase my pant sizes from small to medium, which is really crazy. And I also felt like it's hard to wear any tight fitting pants because my legs were swollen and I feel like bloating as well. So in week number 10, I also had back pain and nausea. And so in week number 10, your baby is already as big as a strawberry, which is a significant increase in sizes. All right, so week number 10 is also the time I did a genetic testing, the non-invasive genetic testing. It's a screener. It's not like a test, it's a screener to see if you're high risk or low risk. So if you decided to do that, you may be able to find out the gender of your baby. So by the time it's 10 weeks, usually there are enough cells from the baby that go into your bloodstreams. So what they do with that testing is to see that if there's any foreign cells and whether the foreign cells carry a certain genetic disease. They're going to test like the number of chromosomes in the DNA. They're going to test like if there's an X or there's a Y, or of course like everyone has X. So my cells has X, right? Because I'm a female. But if there's Y in my blood cells, for sure I'll be having a boy, right? So that's how they do it, is they look for the Y genetics. They look for the Y chromosome inside of the cells. So in week 10, I had a nurse visit to draw my blood. It usually takes 2 weeks of business days to get the results. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, hopefully everything is low risk. So week 11, I continue to feel fatigue, dizzy, hungry. I started to have eczema. It's when it gets fall season in Texas, and I started to have dry, itchy skins. I don't always have super dry skins, but when I was pregnant, I had super dry, itchy skins. I don't know why, but I started to have eczema. Like it was so like itchy, and my belly started to feel so itchy. I think it's also the expansion of my belly that it stretched my skin. So I was like scratching my belly all the time. I had to put a lot of lotion on. I don't worry about stretch marks. I actually don't have any stretch marks, but I just felt like so dry and itchy. I can feel like my skin really expands around my belly, and I had really bad eczema that week. Main concern of that 11th week is like my boobs started to develop more. Dry skin eczema started in the week of week 11. So in the week of 11, your baby is as big as a lime. A lime, it's this big. That's just like, I think this is how big a lime is. So by the time it's 11 weeks, other people probably won't notice, but I can see a bump. I can see it, and some of my best friends can see it too when I wear like yoga clothes. So week number 12. So week number 12, I continue to develop my breast, like my dry itchy skin. It's still there, and I had like hunger spells. I still have nausea and stuff. And towards the end of my first trimester, I started to develop this headache. I think in my first pregnancy that ended in miscarriage, I started to have a headache early on, but this time I was so happy I didn't have any headache or migraine, but I started to feel like headache and migraine starting at 12 weeks. Still had the food aversion. I think some people would say like, oh, their food aversion and nausea slowly going away, but I still felt it going strong. Like food aversion was going strong, and every other symptoms I had in my entire first trimester was going strong. And in addition to that, I started to develop headache. All right, so number 13. Number 13 is the last week of first trimester and first week of the second trimester. My headache was going really, really bad for like a whole week, on and off. It's like the tension headache. It's a little bit like a migraine. And I went to my doctor, of course, for my 12-week checkup, and my doctor prescribed me some medicine for headache. So I was taking the medicine for headache. It was like bad, like, and the migraine itself caused nausea, and I already felt nausea, so I felt extra. Week number 13 is headache, nausea, fatigue, vivid dreams, dizzy, and feeling hungry. My eczema was going strong. My boobs were getting bigger. My pant sizes slowly started to feel like my pants are shrinking. I was gaining weight. By the time it was 13 weeks, I already gained about 13 pounds, which is pretty crazy. Most women, they gain maybe 3 pounds pounds by then, 5 pounds by then, but I gained like 13 pounds. I think it's because I was feeling hungry so much during my entire first trimester. So by the time it's 13 weeks, it is your baby as big as a lemon. That's pretty big, I would say. So I could definitely see the bump. And also going into the second trimester, it's actually the best time to go onto go into a baby moon, go on a vacation before you get too big. And also once the first trimester symptoms are slowly going away, but I still felt really tired. I still had like all of the symptoms. So a lot of people said by the time it's 13 weeks, they started to feel the relief of all of the symptoms from the first trimester going away. They're going to that like honeymoon stage of that pregnancy. I didn't feel that way. Week 13 was actually really bad for me because I kept all of my first trimester symptoms and started to develop like a headache, migraine. And that was, I think, due to the surge in the hormones in my body. So, all right, this video is pretty long. These are my first trimester symptoms during my pregnancy. I hope this video can help you as well. If this is the first time on my channel, make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell. I really appreciate your support. From one mom to another, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!